So back in 2004, when I first came to England and I heard the salary that I was going to get, I was so excited. I thought I'm going to be so super rich when I get this kind of money. But then reality hits, and then you manage the income and the expenses, and you realize it's not all that much. And I'm sure so many of you listening to this can relate to this. So it's really not what you earn, it's really what you manage to keep for yourself after your expenses. And the bigger the lump sum, the bigger the pot that you keep for yourself, the more secure, the more well off, the more comfortable that you will feel. So in this video, I'll show you how to make a tailor-made budget that's just very, very unique to your family and your kind of expenses. So this budget has three different stages. Stage 1 is assess the situation. Stage 2 is smart changes. Stage 3 is painful changes. And in between each stage, you have one decision to make in between each stage. So hopefully by the end of this video, you can make your own budget and you can go from feeling not so happy with money to feeling really secure. So before you get to the three stages, you'll need two things to actually start the budget for your family. One is your family income. So whatever is coming into your family, whether it's one person working, two people working, any child benefit that you have, any rental properties that you may have, any sort of income that you may have. And secondly, your last 3 months expenses. So this is very easy to find in this day and age. Not a lot of us spend cash. Most of our purchases is on a debit card or a credit card, which is easily available on the app. So this shouldn't be hard to get to as well. But so the first stage of this process is assess or maybe evaluate. At this stage, you need to know your monthly bills. These charges usually don't tend to vary from month to month. So these are usually a very fixed expenses that is regular each month. So your council tax, your rent or your mortgage, your broadband bills, your electricity, your gas, your water bills, any TV subscription charges that you may have, any car payments that you may have, any children's classes that they may go to, that is a fixed monthly expense. So these are your fixed monthly expenses. At this stage, you'll also need to budget for your variable expenses. So these are expenses that we have regularly each month, but they're not very fixed expenses. So things like our grocery bill, things like our petrol charges, maybe other miscellaneous expenses like maybe eating out budget or maybe our Amazon spending budget. I'm talking to myself here. So these are the things that you need to calculate in the variable expenditure category. The next thing you need to look at is your less frequent expenses, whether it's quarterly bill, whether it's annual bills. So these are our less frequent expenses. So my professional registration happens only twice a year. My husband's professional registration happens once a year. The children's classes, some are quarterly bills. Our annual holidays that we usually budget have one or two holidays a month. So these are big expenses that comes on regularly. It's every 6 months or every year or every 2 months or every 3 months. So these are regular expenses that we have, but it's not monthly. So these are the expenses that you need to calculate as well, and then say make an annual bill and then divide it by 12, so you know how much you need to budget for each month. Then add up your fixed monthly expenses, your variable expenses, as well as your annual expenses. And then it comes up with a monthly amount that you need each month. So from your income, take away this number and see how much money you have. And now we come to decision number 1. Are you happy with this number? If it's a negative number, if your expenses are more than your income, you definitely need to move into the next stage. Most of us will not be happy with this number. We know we can save more, we can put aside a little bit more. So most of us will want to go to this next stage, which is smart changes. At the smart changes stage, we usually don't make any cutbacks. We try and get the same experience for lesser. At this stage is usually a spectrum. At one end is you're really happy, and the other stage is you're a bit uncomfortable. And then you look at each expense criteria from our previous page. So we really look at all the fixed expenses. So if you're paying over £10 a month for your mobile contract, or unless you're paying off a handset, you're really paying over the odds. There's lots of deals available these days. If you've not switched your broadband in the last couple of years, there is savings to be had there. Again, your TV subscription package, do you actually need or even have time to watch Disney as well as Netflix, as well as Amazon, as well as Sky, can you manage with one package fewer, or like come and go, like have Disney for 3 months and then have Netflix for 3 months, and so swap and change, or even share packages with your friends. You can share Netflix packages, so that's what we do with our friends. Even Amazon package you can share, but Amazon, you share your Prime account as well. Lots of savings to be had with your fixed monthly expenses. Your annual expenses, again, insurance costs. Is there anything cheaper that you can do with your pet insurance, with your car insurance, your home insurance, your life insurance? Again, just look down all your bills and see if is there anything you can get rid of, anything you don't enjoy anymore. That's how you audit your annual expenses. Then look at your variable spending, and it's usually when you look at your variable spending that you tend to move to the unhappiest part of smart saving spectrum. So to reduce your grocery spending, you can move from the premium brands to the supermarket's own version, or the basic version of the supermarket's own version. So there is 2 or 3 brands that you can come down on within the same item. Also, can you take some leftovers to work instead of eating lunch at work 5 days a week? Can you take a packed lunch 1 day a week? If you're used to having 4 takeouts a month, can you reduce it to 3 takeouts a month? So there's lots of things that you can do to optimize on spending for grocery. So see what you can do as a family. Also with petrol charges, there's this amazing app called Petrol Prices. You can enter your location or your postcode, and it'll find out petrol prices that's cheapest close to you. Most of us have our favorite place around where we live, where we often go to fill petrol, but this might be for when we're away and we're not familiar. So you might find a petrol pump, like if you're on the motorway and it's very expensive on the motorway, just half a mile down the road there might be a cheap place to do it. So this app will help you save money on your petrol prices. Often we're so focused on reducing our expenses that we overlook one very basic thing of increasing our income. So reducing your expenses is good, but also if you increase your income at the same time, it is a double whammy, isn't it? Can you do an extra shift at work? Is there any skills that you have? There's lots of sites like Upwork and Fiverr that you can sell if you're especially good at IT and things. There's a lot of home cooks around where we live selling lovely home cooked food. Also, there is a lot of home bakers now selling lovely cakes. So is there any skill or any talent that you have that you can do things on the side with? I'll just show you my monthly budget. You may want to pick bits and bobs from this, or there's lots of free templates, including Martin Lewis's side. There's a free template on that as well. On the left side of the sheet, I have all my fixed monthly expenses. So whether it's my mortgage or my water bill, or how much we spend on our car, or the insurance, or our pet insurance, etc. You usually don't need to write this down month on month because they tend to be fairly static. If you're a person who chooses to spend the least time on your finances while you get on with enjoying life and earning more money and just having a good time, you just need to audit this maybe once every 3 months and then get on with your life. I've got a bit of OCD, so I tend to write this down month on month, but you don't have to. At the bottom of this, I have my yearly expenses. So with my TV license, whether it's a violin bill, and I divide that yearly amount by 12, so I know how much I need to budget for each month. So if I scroll slightly to the left, so this is what I've allocated each month for our spending. So I've allocated £500 for our food expenses, our miscellaneous expenses, £250. I've taken this total from our last 3 months expenses. So when you decide what you want to spend for your family, you may decide £500 is too much. But look at your last 3 months expense. You may decide, no, I don't want to spend more than £200 for a family of 4. But then look at your last 3 months expenses and see how much you've spent. So then average it out by 3 months. So you have a rough idea of how much you spend, so you can set yourself a realistic target. The fuel bill, all of us will need to budget a little bit more than what we've been spending in the last 3 months, so be mindful when you budget your fuel expense. Cash for me and my husband, we usually have a little bit of allowance that we spend the baby, like whether it's on clothes, whether it's on makeup, when my husband's shoes. So we have this monthly budget, and if you want to save for something bigger, we just put that money aside. So my husband doesn't his tastes are very expensive. So he does, for £100, he can't seem to buy what he likes. So he usually puts it aside for 1 or 2 months and then gets what he likes. So similarly, you may also want to allocate a little bit of spending money so you can spend freely and not being accounted for anything. So that's just your money to spend. If I scroll a little bit more to the left, so you can see I've allocated by week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So I just write down the expenses. Usually it's on Sunday afternoon when we're not doing a lot, a quiet time on a Sunday night when children are in bed. So usually look at our weekly spend and update this once a week. Now going back to our first sheet, at this stage we'll need to make our second decision, our decision number 2, whether to carry on or we can stop here. Again, at this stage, look at your income and then take away your expenses, now your reduced expenses, and see if you're happy with this number. So most of us are happy at this stage. We are happy with what is left over after our expenses, but it's very important to keep reviewing your budget every week to make sure you're not going over your budget and your annual and your fixed expenses. It's good to look at that every 3 months, every 4 months, just to make sure nothing's creeped in that you're not happy with. But some of us will need to move into the next stage, which is painful savings. This is when we have to do unpleasant savings to make ends meet. Again, some of us come and go in this stage. We were in this stage when we were paying off debt. My husband was in university for 4 years, so we were at this stage for some stages in our life. So you will find that sometimes you're in the stage and then you come back to stage 2, so you dip in and out. So this is where we make really uncomfortable and really painful savings. The easiest thing to cut back is on eating out, isn't it? If at this stage you're really not, if your expenses are still more than your income, you need to make drastic changes, don't we? So eating out is, if you're used to eating 4 times a day, you perhaps have to reduce it to once or maybe even twice. Again, seriously look at your grocery spending. Find ways to really slash your grocery spending. Your subscription charges, is it all essential? Can you make cutbacks there? Again, gym memberships, kids classes, again, it can get quite painful, and that's why it's called painful savings. Also find ways to increase your income, more overtimes, extra work, extra, etc. So at this stage, not so pleasant savings, but it just needs must, and some of us may find ourselves in this stage at certain stages of our life. Even after making painful changes and increasing your working hours and making life really uncomfortable, even despite that, if you're still not making your ends meet, then you really need to reach out to charities. So National Debt Helpline is one, and the other one in the UK is Step Change. Most of you watching this video will be expatriates who've come into the country in the last few years. So most of us come in with a work permit, so we have a reasonable salary and a reasonable lifestyle. So most of us will only need to make the smart changes, and some of us may need to do painful stages at some stages of our life and then come back to the smart stages. So hope this video has helped you and you've got some few pointers to make your own template. If you've liked this video, give me some love and share this with your family and friends, and subscribe to my channel while you're at it. And I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe.